Two stories breaking right now at 7 o'clock. First, deputies swarm a home in Johnston County after reports of a shooting. Then, a massive fuel spill in Falls Lake after a crash between two trucks. Updates on both breaking stories.
They've been all over. They don't stay in one place.
Terrorizing a town. How a search for 5 wild dogs came to a head today in one eastern North Carolina community. Coming up, where that search for them stands.
This week's forecast couldn't be more different than last week's. Sun instead of clouds and rain instead of snow. What you can expect this week.
Two big breaking stories in our area tonight. We are on top of them both. A shooting in Johnston County, a fuel leak at Falls Lake. Thanks for being with us here tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. The WRAL team has been on top of both these stories since they broke this afternoon. We've got a few updates for you now. First, some video from both scenes tonight. So on the left side of your screen, that's a shooting in Johnston County. This is Buffalo Road in Clayton. On the right is that fuel leak there at Falls Lake. This all stemmed from a dump truck crash on Cheek Road.
Let's start with that shooting in Johnston County. WRAL's Brett Neese joins us there live. Brett, we haven't heard anything about injuries yet. What are investigators telling you?
Ashley, that's the biggest question at this point. The first question on our minds for everybody trying to get that answer from Johnston County deputies. Of course, with nightfall now, it's making it a little bit more difficult with their investigation. I want to show you some video from Sky 5 above this scene on Buffalo Road. You can see the crime scene tape that surrounds this home. This is right between Clayton and Archer Lodge, if you're familiar with this part of Johnston County. And neighbors tell us this happened a little after 4 this afternoon. So investigators have been out here for a couple of hours at this point. They confirmed to us that they are investigating a shooting. They have not said how many people are hurt or who is hurt. We're also asking tonight if the shooter is in custody. Who is this person that's responsible for pulling the trigger tonight here at this home? The deputies have it surrounded still, and they have a number of investigators out here at the scene. They will likely be out here for the rest of the evening. We're going to continue to stay on top of the story and keep you updated. Live in Johnston County, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
And this is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center. All new at 7 o'clock. We're hearing from city water officials about concerns over drinking water with that fuel leak after the crash on Cheek Road near Falls Lake. Show you that video from Sky 5. This all happened just after 3 o'clock this afternoon when a dump truck appeared to rear end another dump truck. No injuries with that, but there was a fuel spill. You can see the sheen there on top of the water. Now, we talked with a spokesman for the city's water department, and he says that the amount of fuel that was spilled here is not concerning when it comes to drinking water. Of course, there are a lot of oil spills out there from all of the boat traffic and also the vehicles there near the lake, so they are not concerned about drinking water with this fuel leak. Again, we told you no injuries with this, and also around 6 o'clock they were able to reopen Cheek Road, so it now is open across Falls Lake in northern Wake County.
All right, Brian, thank you. You wonder how something like this could even happen, but a pack of wild dogs is terrorizing a town in eastern North Carolina. 5 of them. Halifax County Animal Control has captured 2 so far, and it's about time. You might think that. As people in Scotland Neck told WRL's Heidi Kirk, these dogs have been running rampant for 2 years.
If you're a dog lover, you'll think these guys are cute, but you wouldn't want to get too close.
They had killed all our chickens.
In Scotland Neck, so many have stories like Dusty Sprouse. Police say these dogs travel in a pack of 5, injuring pets and scaring people.
It's funny, if you don't live in town, like if you live out of town, it's like, oh, what are you talking about? And I'm like, where have you been? You know, everybody's talking about this thing.
Police say they've been working to track down this pack for 2 years, but they're smart and not easy to catch.
They've been all over. They don't stay in one place. So I've seen the dogs on the other side of town.
Now, police say it's this neighborhood right here, just 1 street away from the downtown district, that pack of dogs likes to roam free. Today, Animal Control came here prepared with tranquilizers, and after a chase through the woods, they caught the pack's leader.
He's right here. Well, I'm happy we did get the main one, the most aggressive one. And we don't want anybody bitten. That's the reason we went after the most aggressive one today.
We got to break the news to Dusty, who was happy to hear it.
It's good to know that at least they're making progress, because it's been like a cat and mouse kind of game.
But the hunt is not over yet, and Animal Control says they won't stop until they got all 5 in their care. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, Scotland Neck.
And they say if you spot one of these dogs, to contact police or animal control immediately. All right, let's get you caught up on some of the other big headlines from today. Here are the 5 things you should know right now. The Fayetteville man accused of killing 3 of his relatives appeared in court today. Mackenzie Darbouz wore a jumpsuit and chains. Darbouz is charged with killing a 4-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 77-year-old in his home. Home security video captured Darbouz walking around that home with a knife. He'll remain in jail under no bond. His next court appearance is March 13th. There's now a $25,000 reward in the case of a missing retired Green Beret. Clint Bonnell was last seen in Grays Creek on January 27th. He was reported missing after he did not attend class at Methodist University for 2 straight days. You see his picture there.
Today, Apple announced plans to invest $500 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years, some of that in North Carolina. Their plan to bring a campus to RTP was pushed back a bit, but appears to be still going forward. A spokesperson told us that today's announcement mostly refers to expanding an existing Apple data center in Maiden. That's a town in Catawba County. Today, Raleigh announced 3 finalists for the police chief job: Raleigh Police Deputy Chief Rico Boyce, Commander Sonia Russell from the Detroit Police Department, and Commander Joshua Wallace, who is with the Chicago Police Department. A community forum is underway right now at the Martin Marietta Center for Performing Arts, where folks can meet the candidates. And police in Wendell are now wearing body cameras. As of today, all 30 officers are required to wear the devices while on patrol or responding to calls. The town received a grant to offset much of the cost. Supervisors will review the footage regularly to identify training and development opportunities. Wake County Schools is looking at whether it should change its policy about remote learning days. It's a pretty hot topic after 3 winter storms, 3 situations where school was canceled. As WRAL's Destiny Patterson reports, it's not just students intent on keeping snow days.
During bad weather,
we just kind of have to adjust to what we're given.
Wake County Schools says they don't have the infrastructure for a remote learning option. Now, they'll have to make up the time on Saturdays or even part of spring break, depending on their calendar. Leo Munoz had to do a lot of work online. He says remote learning is a good option, especially if a cancellation would mean a makeup day on an otherwise off day.
I don't want it taking away from my holidays or my breaks.
On Facebook, school board member Sam Hershey said he shared community feedback with the superintendent. One thing was very clear: no Saturday makeup days. Hershey also said families preferred online asynchronous learning for middle and high schools and packets for elementary schools. Whether it's a packet and a pen or it's online, it's not an option right now. But school board members are talking about the possibility of changing that.
I don't think it's reasonable for the students. And again, that's just given the outcome during COVID.
Wake County parent Eric Vick sent this email to a couple school board members saying he was extremely disappointed to hear that they were even considering it.
I would like to know what they're doing different now versus COVID, why it would work now.
Last month, the board decided to have the superintendent study the issue before they made any changes to their policies. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Wake County.
School board members are expected to talk about it during tomorrow's policy committee meeting. No proposal is on the table yet.
We've got a lot to tackle in today's in-depth mailbag. The Supreme Court, gerrymandering, NC State campus, cell phones in schools, the Fort Bragg name change. You had a lot of questions and we got a lot of answers coming up after the break. Kat?
Who is ready for a complete winter reversal from last week? We're tracking much warmer temperatures and a string of them. I'll explain why you shouldn't get into the garden just yet, though, coming up.
Welcome to the in-depth Monday mailbag. got more of a satchel, but we'll go with it. It's been a while since we've done this. We got a ton to talk about. We got so many emails, so many different topics. In fact, I think tonight we should just do a little rapid fire. So here we go. First up, the race for a seat on the North Carolina Supreme Court. Yeah, we're still talking about that. So Riggs still leads Griffin by 700 votes. Griffin wants to throw out 65,000 ballots to try and make up the margin. Raymond asked, won't throwing out that many votes have an impact on the results of other races? And the short answer is no. And this is one of the most interesting parts of this case. You see, throwing out the ballots would only apply to this Supreme Court race, meaning that that person's vote would count for every other race but not the Supreme Court, because the other races were already certified. It's actually a part of the argument against Griffin that he can't really change the rules of the game after the game has already been played. A Wake County judge appeared to agree with that, rejecting Griffin's challenge, but Griffin then appealed, and now the case sits at the North Carolina Court of Appeals, and we will continue to keep you updated on it. We got a good question from Janice about buildings on NC State's campus after WRAL did multiple reports about PCBs, those chemicals that can cause cancer in Poe Hall. She writes, has any research been done about the safety of other buildings on the NC State campus? So yes, lots of research has been done on this. Back in September, WRAL 5 on your side published this story. PCBs at NC State, dorms, library, classroom buildings test positive. You see, our team found NC State tested 27 buildings on campus for those PCBs over a 7-year period, and they found chemicals either inside or outside 23 of those buildings. NC State responded to this. They say they have taken the actions required by the regulations. Here's one that we've talked about a lot. Phones in schools. Hope wrote me about this one, saying, I was wondering if you'd be able to go in depth about yonder pouches. So guess what, Hope? We already did it. We did an entire in-depth segment on this one about phones in schools, and we did talk about these yonder pouches. Students put their phones in them. They use a magnet to kind of lock that pouch, and it keeps it out of their hands during class and throughout the school day. You can find that segment on WRAL's YouTube page right now. I'm proud of it. You should check it out. I really like it. Earlier this month, Harnett County started using these yonder pouches. The district started a pilot program at 2 schools, Western Harnett High and Highland Middle. If it goes well, they're going to look to expand that program. We'll see what happens. We've also talked a lot about the balance of power at the North Carolina Capitol. A viewer named Steve had a question about gerrymandering. Steve wrote, I want to know how we in North Carolina can end gerrymandering and have voting districts established in a legal, nonpartisan way. I emailed you a few months ago, but never heard back. Well, thank you for your patience, Steve. Here goes. The Fair Maps Act was proposed in the State House last month. This would amend our state constitution to take redistricting power away from the lawmakers and then give it to an independent commission. And no surprise, every single sponsor of this bill is a Democrat. Imagine that. The minority party wants to change the system that has been helping to keep them in the minority. This bill has come up before, and it hasn't gone anywhere before. No surprise, the majority party isn't super interested in changing the system since it helps them to stay in power. Speaking of party politics, I want to talk about an email I got from MK and Mike. It says, Dan, my husband and I watch you nightly. We're big fans. We like the format. However, you seem very left lately. We both find it very upsetting. You went on and on about how much it is going to cost to change the name of the base back to Bragg, but you never, all caps, talked about how much it cost to change it to Liberty. So where are you? Maybe you should be on The View. Now, at the risk of getting all whoopee on you, I'd like to address this because I got a lot of these types of emails. Now, first of all, we did cover the cost. Lots of times, actually, in that piece. I don't know why people miss that, but we covered the cost when it was proposed, again when the work started, again on the final total. We covered the frustration from local businesses who were worried it was going to cost them money because the name change would confuse visitors. We covered the cost a bunch of times, but I'm guessing that's not what MK and Mike meant. They're probably wondering why I didn't go in depth on the cost then, but I did now, which is a question I can answer very easily because the reason is core to this entire segment: consistency and messaging. You see, what I mean is, Trump's election was a statement about a lot of things. And a key one was how government was spending money. So Doge and Musk, they have come in, they have made these big, broad cuts, valuing the bottom line above all else. Are we spending tax money responsibly on essential things? That's what they're trying to figure out. And this Bragg decision just doesn't seem to fit those values. Look, if the bottom line is what matters most, then changing the name again doesn't seem like the best way to spend another $8 million. I mean, think about it. Sure, Hegseth changed the name back, except he didn't. I mean, not really. He didn't go back to Confederate General Braxton Bragg. He named it for a different Bragg, Roland Bragg, not a Confederate general or soldier, a decorated soldier from World War II. But the name Bragg was never the issue, was it? It was the whole Confederacy part. That's why Roland Bragg was considered during the renaming process. He was part of the conversation then, but they decided to go with Liberty instead of Roland. All this to say, don't be confused. Hegseth stuck with the premise of the initial movement. He could have made a point. He could have sided with the people who thought renaming the base would erase history or cover up the past. He could have went back to Confederate General Fort Braxton Bragg. But he didn't. He just picked another guy named Bragg for, I don't know, old time's sake, for familiarity. I can't overstate this. It's a completely different person. So yes, he did change it back to Bragg, but it wasn't in defiance of America's dismissal of Confederate leaders. It only defied the people who picked Liberty instead of Roland. Feels a little placating. Maybe. No. Does it? So again, does that feel like a strict and responsible use of millions upon millions of precious tax dollars? That's why this was a story. It has nothing to do with which name you think is the best or your opinions on Confederate names or which party you like or any of that stuff. It's about noticing when people say one thing and then do another. Consistency and messaging. Let me know what you think. Did we cover enough ground on this mailbag? Are you tired of hearing me talk? What else should we be talking about? Trust me, you'll be ready for more of me in a day or so. What is the news missing? Send me an email, dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what is on your mind, and we will go in depth.
Now I'm just thinking about which host Dan is most like on The View. Like Joy Behar, maybe? I don't know.
It's a good debate. We'll have that during the break.
We've got a beautiful warm-up week ahead.
Yes, we do. All good news in the weather department this week. If you weren't a fan of last week's weather, you know the saying, just wait a week, and the weather will change in North Carolina. It certainly is this week. 72 tomorrow, 70 Wednesday, 73 Thursday. Often during the winter months, warmer weather comes with wetter weather. And that's not necessarily going to be the case this week. Our only chance for rain comes Thursday. It doesn't look like it's going to be a huge rainfall event for us. About a 40% chance of rain, maybe some thunderstorms mixed in. 55 degrees out there right now. The sun set at 6:06 this evening, but our 7 o'clock sunsets are just around the corner. In less than 2 weeks, the sun is going to set at 7:18 p.m. So that means just right about now, you'll still get to see a little sunset in our cameras. April 30th, the sunset is at 8 o'clock. So it's really starting to look like spring on the 7-day forecast. It's going to be feeling like it. You're less than 2 weeks from daylight saving. Spring 24 days away. Here's the thing, though. The average last freeze is still 42 days from now. My point here, do not start your planting for anything that is more sensitive plant-wise. April 1st through the 11th is our average last spring freeze in our area. Hold off a bit longer. I know a lot of the stores are starting to put out the plants. It looks awfully tempting to pick it up. Don't do it just yet. Satellite radar showing some clouds off to our west. Not much happening here locally tonight, and that's great news. But it means clear skies and chilly temperatures. So grab an extra layer. And then on Thursday, grab your umbrella. We've got the chance for rain and storms out ahead of this front. This is the front that's going to knock our temperatures down for Friday, but not by much. Temperatures aren't going to cool off all that much for the next 7 days. If you do want to head out and golf tomorrow, you got a morning tee time Cool enough where you'll want a jacket. 44 at 8 a.m., 65 at noon, and low 70s during the afternoon. Beautiful weather all around for the next couple of days. Thursday, you'll be able to get outside early in the day. It looks like it would be a couple of afternoon and evening showers and storms. Then temperatures dip into the upper 30s behind our front again. 59, though, is still technically above normal for this time of year. Saturday looks pretty good, near 70 degrees with mostly sunny skies. I say, for late February, it's a pretty good-looking 7-day forecast.
It's beautiful. Yes, thank you.
A reward for the snow lovers. We made it through.
Hey, one last thing tonight. We want to honor the life of Roberta Flack. The R&B artist and North Carolina native died today. She holds a special place in the hearts of the WRAL family. Back in the 80s, she partnered with us for a special duet. We're going to play you a bit of that after the break. Our one last thing tonight, remembering Roberta Flack. You know her as an influential R&B performer with top hits like Killing Me Softly with his song.
She was born in Black Mountain, received a degree in music education from Howard University before breaking into pop music. Flack was nominated for 14 Grammy Awards and won 5. But you may not know that Flack has a special relationship with his station, WRAL.
Yeah, back in 1987, Flack recorded a song for WRAL, a duet with Lee Greenwood. In our business, we call it a news image promo. In the 3-minute music video, Flack and Greenwood were filmed in various locations across North Carolina, like Beaufort, Atlantic Beach, Durham, just to name a few. So tonight, we leave you with a little bit of that promotional video in memory of Roberta Flack.
Thank you for making WRAL your choice for local news. Here's the 1987 WRAL news image promo titled, "We Mean a Lot to Each Other."
Oh, we're exciting like the ACC, gentle as the fire. When it comes to you and